sons joined the military, I wanted to be able to, well, when they left for combat, I saw what was happening while they were in combat. I saw a lot of their friends leave and not come home. I saw a lot of friends leave and come back changed, either by an IED or being shot or PTSD or something like that. And so as a football coach, the only thing I really knew how to do was coach football. And so I got a bunch of friends together at home and I said, well, what about if we all come together and like what you see with, you know, cancer awareness and all that, where everybody wears pink. Well, I thought, why don't we wear camo? And why don't we do something different where we can, you know, do a fundraiser and bring all of us together and do something great to support the men and women that are fighting for our freedom.
Welcome to UTTV's Honor Bowl pregame show. Tonight, Sarah Gardena, the #2 team in the state, visits 13th ranked Oceanside High School for the first game in a 2-night high school football showcase. In a little more than a half hour, those two teams will kick off, and we're going to count you down.
Like you said, Kevin, this is one of the top high school football showcases in the nation. But what it does is raise money and awareness for wounded warriors, our men and women hurt in combat. Tonight, we're going to talk football, previewing this great matchup and looking ahead to the high school football season in San Diego, talking with UT's prep experts about the top players and teams. But first, we want to talk a little bit about the reason for this game, the reason we get to play this game.
We say things like that, that without the individuals who step up to make the ultimate sacrifice for our country, we wouldn't have our freedoms. I think a lot of people are like me, and it's rarely driven home as much as when you get involved with something like the Honor Bowl. This week, I sat down with Josue Barron, a wounded warrior. Josue is a Marine. Part of the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, who between 2010 and 11 sustained 25 casualties during their operation in Afghanistan, the most of any unit in the Afghan war. Josue was among almost 200 members of the 3-5 to be wounded. Here is his story.
By the time I got hit, we already had so many casualties and people had already stepped on IEDs and people had died. So by the time, you know, what, 3 to 4 weeks in, I kind of had a feeling already that, you know, that my day could have been any day, like that I was gonna step on an ID or get hit any day. I mean, I would tell myself, like, you know, it's gonna happen one day, so just expect it, and this is kind of what we signed up for, like, to fight a war. We're here fighting a war, and stuff like that's gonna happen. And on the way back, that's when my engineer and I got hit with an IED. So to this day, I don't know if he stepped on it or I stepped on it, but it really don't matter anymore. But he lost both his legs and, you know, a couple fingers, and I lost my left leg and my left eye. When I got hit, I took a lot of shrapnel to my face. So the first thing that happened, I was completely blind. And I knew that we had stepped on an IED, but I didn't know how bad it was. I could just hear my buddy screaming, and I was in pain. So by the time the other guys get to us to try to help us, that's when I already have a bandage over my face. I can't see anything, and I tell my buddy, I'm like, hey man, you know, did I lose my leg? And one of the procedures that we train on is you don't tell somebody they lost their leg, because then, you know, they could go into shock and, you know, they could die. So my buddy tells me, oh, you know, you didn't lose your leg. But I felt the pain, but I couldn't see, so I didn't know if it was gone or if it was just shattered my foot or whatever it was. But he told me I still had it. And I felt more comfortable, and I was stable. I was just ready to get on the helo and go back to the hospital or wherever.
You remember all this?
Yeah, I remember all that. I was probably, from the time we stepped on that IED, it was probably like a 10-second, you know, concussion where like everything just stopped. But after that, you go back to reality and you start feeling everything. And if I could see, you know, I would have seen everything. But since I couldn't, I could just hear everything.
I mean, you used to have 2 legs,
Yeah.
2 eyes, and it was the only way that you, just like me now, could imagine living.
Oh yeah.
But now you have this this full life, and you've gone a different course. What's the message that you give?
I feel like there's always somebody worse. So no matter what, like, I'm going through, I feel like there's always somebody worse that, you know, is missing 3 limbs or 4 limbs, or somebody that's blind. And I could just only imagine that, and that's kind of what motivates me to kind of just keep going, because even though I'm missing a leg and an eye, to people that have all 4 limbs and both eyes, it's not normal. But for me, it feels normal. So it's just, I think the message is there's always somebody worse than you.
You're a pretty soft-spoken guy, and shy, I would say. Yet you put yourself out there. And why is that?
After going through what I went through, and like, I think we lost like 30 guys in Afghanistan. I that died out there. Like, I lost my platoon sergeant. He died. He was an officer, and a couple other guys in my platoon. And it's just like, I feel like if they had a second chance to be out here, you know, they would be happy to even have, you know, 2 arms or 1 leg, you know. And I just feel like I have to take advantage of that, and I gotta go out and live my life, you know, to the fullest, because like I said, there's other guys who don't get a second chance, and I got a second chance, and I have to take advantage. And it's just like, I can't worry about what anybody's gonna say out in the street. I can't, you know, I gotta live my life and just make it as happy as I can.
He has such a powerful message. It was such an honor to meet him and hear his story.
And he just tells it matter-of-factly, and it's very impressive. It is. All right, we'll be back. But before we go, here's a special message from the U.S. Marine Corps San Diego Recruiting Station.